Last week on Twitter, I published a thread about what I call me pages, which are dashboards in Notion that bring all of the content throughout the space into one central location so that people can find all the content that they've been assigned, they're working on, and things like that. Today, I thought I'd do a little walkthrough of how to build a set of me pages with the new project management system that Notion just shipped. No big intro today. We're just going to build this live from scratch, and we're going to show you how to do the permission setup to make this work for your team. So let's dive in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new Teamspace. So click the plus button next to Teamspaces here, and I'm going to call this me page example. And the function determines which databases and templates are applied when you create a Teamspace. I'm just going to leave it as general for this one, which is good for our project management. Permissions are going to determine who can see this in your workspace. So default means that everybody will automatically be a member of this workspace, and open means that they're not a member, but they can join it if they want. And of course, closed means they can see it, but they can't join it. And private is fully private. That would be on enterprise only. And I think business plan actually also supports private. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a closed Teamspace just for this demo. And I'll create the Teamspace and we'll see it's gonna do some magic here. I don't want to invite anybody just yet. And we'll see here that by default, we've got a Teamspace homepage, which is just a simple page. We got a wiki, which has some pages on it in a wiki format. So the wiki format, you can see I'm the owner of all these pages. And this is actually a database that is driven by this nice little layout that the wiki has. We've got docs, we've got meetings, and we've got tasks and projects. And some of the new project management stuff that Notion is working on with sprints and things of that nature are coming with this template specifically. So in order to get some of those new features, you do have to use these special templates at this time. So the first thing we're going to notice is that if I want to see the things that I'm working on, such as my wiki documents, the docs that I've created or written, the meetings that I've participated in, the tasks that I'm working on, and the projects that I'm assigned to or owner of, you'll see that I have to continue to click around into different places. So what me pages do is they reduce the amount of times that you're going to have to click around to find the information that you're looking for. So what if I could bring all of that stuff into a single page? So the first thing I'm going to do here is create a new page, and we'll just go blank page. And maybe I'll move this to the top because it's going to be pretty important. And I like to call these my home. We're going to do some customization here. We're going to make this full width. And I'm going to go to customize page as well. And I'm going to turn off the top level discussions. I'm going to turn off backlinks, and I'm going to switch the page comments to minimal. And what that does is it means that the comments normally would appear on the side of the page, thus shrinking the page down horizontally. And by turning them to minimal, it'll just show as a little icon. So this allows you to keep the format of the page really nice. And so all we want to do for now is click empty page. So the primary feature that we're working with to make these me page dashboards is linked databases. And to access linked databases, we're going to hit / to pull up our command menu. And I like to use the shortcut OF to get to linked view of database, and you can just hit enter. And what it's going to do is prompt us to select a source for our linked databases. So I've got projects, tasks, meetings, docs, wikis, and so on and so forth. So maybe the first thing we want to pull into this is our tasks. So I'm going to pick tasks. And you see you've got 3 views already here. We've got by project, by board, and all tasks. Maybe I want to do a project focus view to start, so we'll pick that one. And we're going to go down to filters, and we'll see here that it's got some helpful quick filters, but I'm going to see other people's tasks here as well. So let's say Marie has a task here, and I'll pick one of my other fake users here. Let's unassign some of this stuff for me. Pick some of my fake users. So we're seeing everybody's work here. And what we want to actually do is just see my work. So I'm actually going to open up the assignee property here, this quick filter, pick this menu, the ... menu, and then let's click add to advanced filter, which turns it into a more complex filter that we can do more things with. And the reason that I call these me pages is because all of the filters on these pages are going to use the property me. So when I pick from the assignee, I want to pick this top level special little key here that says me. So this means that whoever is looking at this page, that filter is going to apply to them. So when Marie looks at this page, Marie would see her tasks. When I look at this page, I just see my tasks. So let's do some nice little cleanup here, and we'll hide this. And we've got the ability now to see all the project work that I'm doing on this page where the assignee is me. So we might want to add some other views to this view set. So let's add a plus here, and I'm going to pick tasks again. And I'm just going to click new empty view this time. And I would like to filter this where the assignee contains me again, and let's move that to an advanced filter. And you'll note this Save for Everyone button pops up. That means that if a page or a view is shared, that you can change the filters on it, but it won't actually apply to other people until you click that Save button. So we'll hit Save to persist that. So now we got where the assignee contains me. And let's also add another filter. And the due date is today. And now, so this is going to be renamed to today, and we'll put this in the front here. And if I go back to some of these tasks here and I assign them to today, June 6th, and maybe I'll assign this one, we'll see those show up on our today view. And I usually like to hide the database title here, and maybe we'll edit the view and we'll make this today, day. So we'll get that little icon there. And then we've got our what's due today, what's on the go. And I'd probably like to move the status column to the front here, and I'm going to edit this property and show as a checkbox so that I can quickly mark things as done or in progress. So now I can say done, and we actually want to not show the done task. So maybe we'll add another rule here, and the status is not complete. And let's save that for everyone. And we might want to add another view here, and we'll give this one a checkbox. And maybe we'll make this say done, and we'll go back to our filters. And because we duplicated that filter from before, we've got all that stuff where the due date is today, where the status is not done. And I actually want is done for this one, and we want to remove the date. And so now we've got a record of the tasks that I've completed, and we'll click save for everyone. One of the things I like to do with these done views is to group by an updated date. So let's add an updated date to our database, and that would be a last edited time. And I like to call these updated at, and this will kind of give you an idea generally how, if we group on that updated and we sort by newest first, this will give us a kind of grouped idea of when we finish tasks going back in time. So now we've got a what's on my plate for today. We got a what's on my plate in terms of all my project work. We probably don't want to see statuses that are done here. So let's turn this into an advanced filter. And we'll make this one is not done and archived. And then I can actually add that status filter back in case you want to pick the other ones. And we'll click save. So now we've got a project work that needs doing that is not in progress, or is not complete rather. And maybe this view you want to keep the status so you can quickly pick this is in progress, something like that. So you can get pretty creative with this stuff. You might even duplicate this and say this week, maybe give it the week icon. And we can change that filter to where the due date is relative to today and say this week. So now we've got a today homepage, a this week page. Let's make sure we save that for everybody. We got an organized by project and a done column. And so now we've got a kind of a task manager. And of course I could add these to the task database, but this allows you to kind of keep your task database nice and simple. You can always go back to the task database to work with other people's stuff. But now this is a highly focused page where other team members can come and get the same experience across the board instead of having to build their own systems or duplicate a complex dashboard. So far we've only got an idea of our tasks and project work that's going on our homepage. Maybe we also want to know about meetings that I participated in. So that means coming back to our linked database menu. So I'm going to start with /OF again, insert a linked database, and let's put in our meetings database here. And maybe we want to see the full calendar to start. And of course, the filter here is going to be where the attendees contains me. And we'll do save for everyone. And again, we'll turn this into an advanced filter and save. And let's see, I don't see anything on here, so that probably means there's nothing satisfying my filters. So let's go back to meetings and see what's going on here. So created by, okay, so there's no attendees in here. So we want to put Ben in here. And that's interesting. We might want to consider that our filter needs to be perhaps something more like this, where the attendees contains me, and maybe we'll turn this into a group here. or created by contains me. So we know that I created it or I attended that meeting in some cases. And now we can see we are getting additional meetings in here. And so let's add a couple more properties to make this a little clearer. So who was there and what type of meeting was it? That looks good. So maybe team stand-up was me, Marie, and Cloud. And the getting started with meeting notes is me, Marie, and Georgia. So now we got some dates. So, now we've got a task management and our calendar all on one page, so we can kind of see things side by side. And, of course, we can add additional views here. So we might duplicate that to get the filters, and we can say recent meetings. And I would like to use the maybe timer or something. And let's change the filter here to also say where the event time is relative today and it's in the past 2 weeks. And let's save that. And we're also going to change the layout to a list view, and we'll sort it by event time descending. So we want to see the newest meetings at the top. So there's our June 6th at the top, and then we have ones from June 5th that were at the same time. So, you can continue to add these custom views, and this allows you to have a nice little dashboard with a bunch of stuff on it. So I might even put something like a headering at the top that says like work. And then maybe down below we have a calendar. And then underneath that, let's do something like my docs. And like this allows us to bring in content from some of the other places like wikis and perhaps docs. So we'll put those in the same view set so we can mix up databases in the same view set. So again, we're going to do of. Let's create a linked view of a database and let's pull in the docs. And it looks like they've already got a mine view here. So let's grab that one. And so yeah, this one is giving us where created by contains me or last edited by contains me. I'm not sure that's helpful because I think a lot of times people will initially create docs, but there's also an owner of a doc. So you might want to add a owner field that can be manually set instead of these auto-populated ones. But that's kind of up to you. And I would probably turn this into a group and add that rule inside of here. Last edited by contains me, and then drop this one. And this allows you to be a little bit more creative with your advanced filters if you kind of blend these in there. So right now I can't actually assign this to somebody else as being their responsibility because this is a auto-generated field. So I would probably, like I said, add another person field and put the owner, and then I can assign somebody else as being the owner. So that would be a nice way to make that a little better. But here's my docs, and then maybe I also want to see the wiki things that I'm responsible for. And I could put in that pages I own thing here. And let's see, what's the filter? So in this case, they have an owner property, which is great. So that's what we want. And we want where the owner contains me. And you might want to do something here where you could say pages I own, and maybe we make another one that's like pages out of date. And maybe this one is filter where verification is expired or empty. So now I know I can visit this view here and see which docs I need to review. So once I've verified this, it should remove from this view and be verified for 90 days. So this is a kind of way of, you could visit this dashboard once a week or something and go through and see like any docs that need updating, any pages that I own in the wiki that are unverified, and so on and so forth. And, you can manage your stuff all from one page here. So my personal me pages have my tasks, my projects, content that I'm working on. I have my weekly agenda. I have my journal. I can pull in all of this stuff across a bunch of different databases and create this sort of centralized location for working on this stuff. Where me pages start to get tricky is, so anybody at our company can now look at this page and see content that as it relates to them. But as is right now, anyone who has access to this page has full access. And that means that a coworker who doesn't know Notion might accidentally come in here and accidentally hit backspace and delete the whole system for my company. And we could restore it from history, but we'd like to avoid that kind of stuff. And so I'm going to show you now how to set up permissions so that you can avoid that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at our Teamspace permissions. And you can see here that Currently, I'm the only member in this group, and we have members have full access and Teamspace owners have full access. What we're going to do is we're going to switch Teamspace members to can comment only, and we also have everyone else has no access. And so that means everything inside of this Teamspace, they're only going to be able to comment on, so they can't actually do anything with this. So what happens now is that if I invite somebody else into this Teamspace, they will not be able to accidentally delete this page because they only have can comment. Where this gets tricky now is now they actually can't do anything in the space as it relates to data because they don't have access to these databases. So we're going to come into projects and we're going to share, and we're going to override that can comment in the databases to can edit content. And so we'll do that for each of these databases. Can edit content. We want our meeting notes to be can edit content. And we want our docs to be can edit content. And this is a bit of an arduous process, but it works really well for teams that want to be able to manage what people can do and not break their systems. So can edit content allows anybody to edit the content in the database, to add new pages and to delete pages, but they won't be able to change any of the view structure, change any of the filters. So it's really difficult for people to break things. But it does mean that permissions that apply to a database will be inherited by the views on this page. So they won't be able to make any changes to the layout of this page or the views, but they will be able to edit the data and work with their content in the databases. So what that means is that folks won't be able to break this page, but you can also, as an editor, change this page to give new functionality to your entire company all at once instead of each employee managing their own personal dashboard. One further way to extend that access is to use groups. So if I go up to settings and members and I go to groups here, let's say I create a new group and I'm going to call this one Notion Editors. And I'm going to add just myself to this at this time. Maybe I'll add myself and Cloud as an example. And now if I go back to my Teamspace settings, I'm going to add that group to this Teamspace. So Notion Editors can always access this as team members. If you're on the enterprise plan, you can use the custom permission setting and you can actually override the generic settings for Teamspace members. So let's say Notion Editors would be able to can edit everything. So I can say change access. So anyone in that Notion Editors group will be able to edit anything in this. So you could maybe create a group for people that you trust to not break things or to be able to modify systems. You can also do that at the page and database level. So let's say my homepage, right now we have can edit here, Notion Editors. Maybe I want to give the Notion Editors full access, which would actually override the Teamspace settings. So you can do that for databases as well. So in, say, projects, I want the editors to be able to have full access here, or you could even restrict them further by changing it. But you'll see here that if I try to pick can comment, it'll ask me to restrict access, and I can do that. And it says access restricted here, may not be shared with everyone from the Teamspace. So I can restore that back to what I want if I needed to. So what we've got now at this point is a page that everybody in the Me page example Teamspace can access and comment on and work with, but they can't make any modifications to it. Only the Notion Editors group can make modifications to that. So this page is looking a little ugly, so why don't we spruce it up a little bit with some Notion design. So one of the things I like to do is use callout based design, and maybe we'll give this an icon, like let's give this a work icon. Okay, maybe it's got a briefcase, and you can say my work, and we'll get rid of this heading here, and we can just drag this right into here, and that gives us kind of a nice little stylized heading area. And maybe you want to see how many tasks they have on the go this week. And maybe the project, we want to see all the tasks here, count all, and how many they finish, we'll count all of those as well, and put a little divider in between these as well. And you could spruce this up with some color too, so maybe we'll make it green or white. That can give you a nice look. You can make the briefcase green as well. And maybe we'll colorize the background too. And then, you could do the same thing with these like nested callout blocks, or you could just have headings as well. One really nice thing about using headings in these pages is that you can add a table of contents to the top of these. So I can type /TOC and enter a table of contents. And this allows me to jump down the page to the specific section, sort of a navigational element that can be helpful for new users. So one thing I love to do is use Midjourney to generate some cover images for my dashboards. So I've just plugged in a example one here. Office space, lots of plants, warm and welcome, a nice standing desk with a laptop, a cup of coffee, a lamp highlighting the space. And I've used the shortcode here, --AR 2:1 to generate a image that has an aspect ratio of 2:1, which works a lot better for Notion headers. You can see that in real time, it's kind of generating the image 62%, and we'll skip ahead here. Once my images are generated, I can pick one that I want to upscale. I like this one in the top right here, so I'm going to upscale number 2, and that queues another job. And then to get my image, I can just click on this, click open in browser, and I'll save it to my downloads folder. And then we'll go back to Notion. Now in Notion, we'll go ahead and add our cover. Let's upload it from my downloads. And that works really nicely with our green color. So there's our home page. And I'll also go ahead and add an icon. So let's go ahead and add an icon so we can differentiate it in the sidebar. I'm going to use the earthquake one, and I'll make it green. So now we've got a nice little home icon on the sidebar. And what else might we want to do? We want to make sure all of our headers are green, so that kind of matches. We've added some instructions here, which I've also used green in. But this is a nice way that you can add little instructions above certain views to tell people what the views are actually for. So you can say, use the pages out of date view to review your unverified wiki pages. So that gives the user kind of in-app documentation on how the page is meant to be used. And you could even reference pages in your wiki if, for example, one of these pages was a how to use this my home page documentation, you could point them to that as well. But we'll just use the basic instructions for my docs there. Some of the other things I might want to do here is to update my filter. As I'm working on this video over multiple days now, I'm not seeing tasks that are in the past. And so we want to actually change the due date, and I'm going to turn this into a group, and I'm going to add, or the due date is on or before today. And that way, actually, we don't even need this group. We can just turn that into a filter. And now we're getting past due tasks and today's tasks in today. So that gives a more accurate version of the today page for our users. So now that we have a nicely designed homepage, we want to start using it and sharing it with people throughout our workspace. So next up, we're going to cover how to set up the permissions for another user that might be using that. So let's get into inviting another member of my workspace to this page to utilize it. And we'll see kind of the weird idiosyncrasies of Notion permissions here and how to get around some of these issues. So right now we have in our share settings, everyone at Me Page Example, the Teamspace, can comment on this. And the people that are also in the Teamspace will have the ability to edit the data in the databases. And we're going to see what that actually looks like by sharing that with somebody. So let's actually add a new user. And we're going to go to the members here, and I'm going to add my test user who is Cloud Strife, and we'll just add them as a Teamspace member. And now let's go ahead and open up this same page I'm going to open up a new tab, and let's close this one down, and we'll switch over to Cloud's account. Great. So we can see that Cloud can see the My Home page, and he can do some things like work on this. So he's seeing his assigned tasks now by project, by week, and today as expected. And Cloud here can open these up and work on these. So he could say this is done, and it would remove it from his view. But you'll notice here that even though Cloud can edit this, you can't actually make changes to this data in some cases. I can assign it to myself there, but in some cases I actually can't work with the data. I can't check this checkbox. There's no new button at the bottom here. I can click the new button to add new tasks, but it's very limited. I can't actually change much stuff apart from the date and the assignee. So for certain things, I can't edit this in line. I can't click this. And the reason why that is because even though Cloud has access to edit the content in the database, he doesn't have access to edit any of the views on this page. And this is one of the really tricky gotchas with Notion, is that page permissions and database permissions are slightly different, and views are actually a type of page. And we'll see that if I switch back to my primary account here. You can see all that stuff, the counter, the new button, the ability to filter and sort, the ability to check things off as done, the ability to edit inline here. I have all that feature set, whereas Cloud does not, even though he can edit that database. And the reason for this is because, like I said, views are different permissions than their source databases. So when we actually go into this view of tasks view here on the page, we'll open up share, and we'll notice that the Teamspace members only have can comment access. And if we change this to can edit content, and then we go back to Cloud's page, now Cloud sees the new button, he sees the ability to filter things, and he is able to mark things as done with that checkbox there. So, and the thing with this is we can actually set up a kind of an in-between can edit and can edit content situation if we don't override those views, because you can see here that there's no possibility for Cloud to actually save filter changes. So this kind of puts us in a really nice place where we can control the experience that the user has, and they're still able to edit the data in the database. But what this means in practice is that for our designers, they're going to have to go into each of these views and change the permissions to can edit content for each of these views. So I need to go in here and change this to can edit content on the view of docs and wikis. We need to make sure the view of meetings also has can edit content, and so on and so forth. This will mean that now Cloud, if we switch back to Cloud's account, will have the ability to now add new items to this calendar. So he can edit the content in this database via the can edit content settings, but they will not be able to make changes to the view here because it is part of this page. Now, if we go back and actually, I'm going to go back to the meetings here, and I'm going to reset the permissions to can comment, which is the default. So it's inheriting the permissions from my home. Now, if we look at what Cloud can do here, we'll note that you can't even though I could go over to the meetings database and look at the calendar view, and Cloud here can hit plus to add items. So you'll see this is added by Cloud, but on the My Home page, we don't see that plus button. And that's because of that issue with the permissions of the source database do not technically flow through to linked views of the database. So you do have to go in and edit the permissions on the view to can edit content, and then that will allow Cloud to get that in-between state where we're not allowing Cloud to modify the views on this page, but we are allowing them to do everything we need them to do in the database. And this is one of those kind of undocumented gotchas in Notion, that there is technically a permission level in between can edit content and can edit, that if you assign can comment a non-editable permission to a page that contains linked views, you do have to manually change those linked view permissions to be able to get the accurate permissions you want for your team. So this is a nice little page here that allows Cloud to work with all his content, to add new pages, add new tasks for himself, and so on and so forth, capture meeting notes, delete things, but I can't actually, at this point, highlight the entire page and accidentally delete it. I can't delete the views. I can't add new views. So it kind of limits what Cloud can do. And that's something that a lot of teams need in Notion, because giving full edit privileges or full access privileges to pages can often have a really harmful side effects. And of course, because we've got the minimum view on, Cloud could say like, hey Ben, could we add a week view to this view set? And then, of course, Ben in his space is going to get that update and see that, see that Cloud commented here. And yeah, maybe we should add that. Let's go ahead and resolve that, and we'll actually add a week view. And I'm just going to duplicate this. And we'll go to the layout, and we're going to show the calendar as a week. Today. and then we can put it back to the weak view, and that might be nice to have first so it doesn't take up too much vertical space. And of course, going back to Cloud, now Cloud has full access to that feature as well. So hopefully this has been a helpful and fun exercise for you to see how to build a Me page using Notion's new project management features. Let me know in the comments if you built something like this for your team or yourself. And be sure to like and subscribe so you can get more content like this in your feed, and I'll catch you next time.